Hello and welcome back to episode 2, is it? Episode 2?
Episode 2.
Of...
I'm stuck in a podcast!
My name's Kai, as always.
My name is Fraser, as always.
I don't know, I think your name was something different last time.
I don't know, I think it's Fraser. Sometimes
I think you like
does
change it every now and then, you know?
Usually it's on Tuesdays. We are releasing this on Wednesday, so we do just miss it.
That's true. So maybe like in the middle, like half that name, half another name.
I mean, if we did this podcast on Tuesdays, then, I might be Sandra.
Oh, I'm changing it to Tuesdays now.
Oh, no.
I've got access to the Spotify account as well.
Balls, that's it. It's all going south now.
Perfect. So we got a few topics we want to talk about today. Whether we'll get through them all, that is a good question.
I mean, last week we didn't. We had 3 topics written down. We only did 2 because we were so busy having fun and talking about everything else.
I mean, we got through the first one within 35 minutes or something like that?
I think it ended up being a 40-minute podcast. So
yeah, but the last 5 minutes was the second topic.
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy.
And the response was generally alright. So I'm glad people are enjoying it.
Yeah, because if you're not enjoying it, well, you're banned.
Yeah, we know who you are.
We can track you down. We'll find you.
We'll track you down just like our phones do.
Our phones?
Our phones.
Oh, our phones. Speaking of phones, Fraser, that is one of the subjects for today.
Yes.
Phones. What kind of phones, you might ask? Bad ones. Good ones, maybe? Bad ones, though, I think. Bad ones? Nah, I don't know.
I don't even know anymore, to be honest. After all of these new phones with 750 cameras on the back and all your fancy things that you don't need on them anymore, our phone's going too far.
Do you know what's weird? You go back, I don't know, when we were children or whatever, the phone to have, obviously when we were younger, was a BlackBerry, yeah? Oh,
the BlackBerry was where it was at. Everyone was on BBM.
That's true. I didn't have one personally, which I am... Thank God.
My BBM pin was 2408009A, so if anyone wants to add me, go for it.
Was it actually?
Yeah, that actually was it.
Bloody hell. I'm surprised you remember that. I don't remember my password from 10 years ago.
I still remember my library card number.
Jesus, I didn't even have a library card.
It's things that are not important that stick with me, but the things that are important, they don't stick with me.
I used to memorize every single one of my card numbers off by heart, just because I was like, I'm going to use them quite often. Nowadays, I can't remember any digits of mine except 4751 or whatever, because it's a bloody Visa.
I only remember one of my card numbers. The other one that I've got, I don't remember that at all. I need to go back to it every single time.
That sounds about right. So, speaking of oh yeah, with phones, like I was saying, it's weird because back when we were younger, the phones to have were the smallest ones you could get, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So people will get into the smallest things, probably the size of I don't know, your index finger, maybe.
You had a phone the size of your index finger?
Well, I mean lengthwise, not width.
Oh, I was gonna say, how the bloody hell did you get a phone out of that?
Just a pencil.
Oh my god, technology was so advanced.
But you think about it, back then, that's the sort of things you wanted, isn't it? Everyone wanted a small phone. And now, everyone wants an iPad-sized phone.
I think there are too many sacrifices being made to make things smaller. I think all of these companies need to remember that thick isn't always bad. We want better. We want a better battery life. If it's going to be a little bit thicker for a better battery life, go for it. I don't care. I don't need something as thin as a bloody A4 sheet of paper to fit in my pocket.
I don't know. You might fold it.
Oh my god, don't get me started on the Samsung Galaxy Fold. That was a flop, wasn't it?
Did it come out?
No, it was never officially released. I think it was due to officially release in September.
Yeah, good luck with that.
It was sent out to all of these reviewers, these influencers, all of the tech people. I think Unbox Therapy got one of Marquez Brownlee, people like that. And there was just so many issues right off the bat, oh, look, this hinge is broken, it's gone and buggered up my screen. And there was this part of the screen where it looks like a screen protector that came stock with the phone. However, it turns out it wasn't a screen protector, and it was actually a vital component. And as people were peeling that off to get rid of the screen protector, air quote screen protector, I'm doing the two finger things, but this is a podcast, you can't see that. As people were taking that off, it was actually destroying their phones and reducing the durability. So that was a massive oversight on Samsung's behalf. To be honest, I'm surprised that they didn't even think about that during product testing. It looks, from the pictures, it looks like you are supposed to take it off. It's like one of those, you get the plastic film that wraps around the entire phone when you
right
first
at the
get
beginning,
it.
and
it looks like it should be that, and it looks like it should come off.
See, I think the biggest thing with that phone as well was the price. It was
oh my god,
$2,500 or something like that, wasn't it?
I think so. I think you were looking at around $2,000, and
it was definitely at least $2,000. I remember it being that because I remember us taking the piss out of it on Twitter.
It's a new technology, so it makes sense why the price is so high. I mean, if you have a look at where computers came from with their prices and what you could get for that price, it was sky high. And you are paying for the vanity of having a very new technology so early on, but it's clearly not perfected yet.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with, obviously a foldable phone, great. When you unfold it, it's got so much more screen and whatever else. It's thick when you fold it back up, whatever, who cares? But it was that front screen that was only showing, I don't know, maybe a fifth of the whole screen.
Yeah, no, I was so disappointed in that. I thought the front screen, the bit on the outside, was going to go edge to edge. So it's like a seamless experience going from your front-facing one to the inner two screens. But the front-facing one had your selfie camera, and then it had, the fattest bezel you could even think of at the top and on the side. So it was I'm pretty sure... Yeah, and top,
it was
side,
just
bottom.
In the middle.
Yeah, it was really, really small, and I was so disappointed in that. It reminded me of, well, unironically, a flip phone.
Yeah.
The ones which have the small status indicators on the front, and then you flip it to get your main big screen. It reminded me of that, and it's just not ready in my eyes. You need to wait if you want that sort of technology.
And for $2,500, I know people love Samsung and stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of Samsung. I love their cameras and stuff. I'll say that much. Samsung cameras are amazing. Like when we saw Aiden's when we were in America, that was amazing. But for example, I don't know. It was. It's so expensive for what it is, really.
I think phones are just getting to that point now where they've really influenced consumers to think, right, bigger is better. If you're splashing out, you are going to get the best phone. And you can see Samsung, Apple, Google even. That Google's not too bad, but they are definitely getting there. They're definitely riding the wave of it's costing so little to manufacture, but it's given them a massive profit turnover. But from things being so big and the prices being so high, less people are buying them. I think Apple are still trying to recover from the lack of people now buying phones. I think the general consumer trend was every 2 years look for a new phone, but now that's grown to every 3 and every 4 years. I know I aim for every 3 years.
I think I go every 2 years, but if my phone's working fine, I'm not going to bother upgrading it.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to go and splash out $1,000 or whatever on a brand new phone.
See, I'm in that situation right now. I've currently got an iPhone 7 Plus. I've always been someone that's in the middle. My phone before that was a Samsung Galaxy S4. And then before that, honestly can't remember. I think it might have been a BlackBerry. I don't know. But I've always been in the middle, so I don't care if I switch devices. Going from one platform to another isn't inconvenient to me because it's all about the device. If I like the device, I'll go to it. And yeah, I'm in that situation right now where my phone is on its way out for the last year. It's had a problem where if you go to the battery health tab, it says that it needs a service, and it's actually only charging 75% of its maximum capacity. Since, that measures from when you first got the phone. When you first get the phone, it's 100% capacity. And even though you still get 100% when you charge up, that's actually only 75% of its original performance. So mine's lost a quarter of its battery performance. And while I can get a battery replacement, it's so expensive to get an official battery replacement with Apple.
Yeah, you can get like a fake like one that works, but like not.
Yeah,
kind of voids the warranty and whatever else. I guess you probably got warranty, haven't you?
Oh, I mean, I'm coming up to the 3-year mark now, so chances are it's well out of it.
I guess,
but even then,
but...
Apple are introducing this new feature where, I say new feature, new restriction, I'd say, where if you use a third-party battery or it's installed by someone that's not an authorized Apple repair person, I can't remember what it's called, service center maybe, then the battery health bit doesn't work for, air quotes, security reasons. And
security reasons. We want money.
And safety reasons. And I think that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah, definitely. I just looked at my battery capacity, by the way. Mine is on 92%. I've had this phone for a year.
Oh, you're doing really well then.
I think, yeah. I mean, I tend to just charge my phone up at night. I don't really need a reason to like charge it up anymore. So yeah, I got an iPhone 8 Plus, and I think it was on like 15% before we started like recording. And I thought, all right, I do want to go on my phone tonight still, so I might as well charge it up a little bit while I can. But that's like the only times I charge it if I really need to. I don't think it's needed like as much anymore, you know?
No, I mean, I'm definitely seeing the effects of when I first got my phone, I used to be able to go 2 days with it. I'd do 50% one day,
oh yeah, 50%
I remember. Another, and then my habits changed where I was using it a lot more. I had Bluetooth on, I got my car and it had a Bluetooth capability, so I have Bluetooth on a lot more. And then I could only do it once a day. But now it's getting to that point where if I use it enough during the day, then by the time I get home, if I want to use it in the evening, then I need to charge during the evening. So it's getting to that point now where I need to start looking around. And honestly, at the moment, I'm always in the middle. I'm waiting for the Apple event in September to see what they do with the iPhone 11. Currently, the leaks are looking disappointing, but
I don't think I've seen any.
It's supposed to be nothing too big. Apparently the iPhone 12 or whatever comes out next year is supposed to be the big one, something that actually changes from the iPhone 10. Because
it'll probably be like a, I don't know, side to side sort of thing. The notch is gone.
That's what I want.
Whatever
I
else.
hate notches on all of these phones. The notch is such...
Does the Pixel have a notch?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not too sure. But like these hole punches, like some devices are getting these hole punches now, and I think that's better. I would go with a device that has a hole punch, but it's still not good. I think, what was it? The Oppo or something like that has something where it flips up. The Samsung Galaxy A80 has something where like the rear-facing camera can move up and then swivel around to the front, but then you've got the question of, is that going to be durable? Is it going to withstand 3 years worth of usage?
Oh, definitely not.
And I think that's worrying.
Like a bottle cap and it breaks.
Well, exactly. Having a physical moving component, there's a risk that comes with that. So I don't know if I want that still. And there's these new phones that come out where the camera is hidden underneath the screen. I think that's incredible, but it's still a new technology. So I'm still worried about that. So I think I can settle for a hole punch, but not 100% happy with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I think the event that's literally just happened is the one where Samsung unveiled the Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus. And I do actually really like the look of that. They are relatively big, and I think the pen is a massive gimmick, but I am liking the look of it visually. I think if I visually like the look of it, I've been on Android before and know how it works, then I'll like the technology behind it as well.
Yeah.
But we're still in like I'm in this awful situation where basically all of them are ugly. They're all very expensive. I'm still stuck on what one I want to get. And I'm just waiting for something which really stands out that's more widely supported. Like, if you were to choose a next phone, would you stick with Apple? Or would you...
Most likely, personally. My main reason for that is when I was younger, my first phone was Android, my second phone was Android. My first one that I had was a Huawei, or whatever it is. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think that's right.
I think it's right, but I don't know. But it was like a starter phone. It was the first one you ever have. It doesn't have to be big, does it? Yeah. It had like, I could put apps on it, I could text, I could call. That was all that mattered. And then I think I took my brother's phone about a year later or something like that.
Right.
And that was a HTC. I want to say Firefox, but I feel like that's wrong. Wildfire,
it's definitely
maybe?
not a Firefox.
Is it
That's
a HTC Wildfire? Wildfire.
Maybe
Wildfire.
HTC Fire. I think that's right.
Wildfire. The original HTC Wildfire. I've got a picture of it on my screen right now. It sells for £16 nowadays.
Oh, bargain.
Wow. And that kind of ruined my Android experience. I think it was just because it was so laggy all the time.
Right.
And I mentioned this earlier to you when we were talking about it, and I said when I'm looking at like PewDiePie's videos, for example, on like Instagram, when he's doing anything, his front-facing camera is really laggy, and I'm pretty sure he's got a Pixel. I'm not certain. Interesting fact about a Pixel: I had a friend that used to charge it. As soon as it goes below 95%, he'd plug it back in.
Why?
He would never have it below 95%. He hated it being not charged.
That's a bit excessive.
It killed his battery.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Topping up after 5% of usage. That's awful.
It was awful. But yeah, personally, I'd probably stick with an iPhone just because I've had like bad experiences in the past with Android, I guess.
That's fair enough. No, I get you there.
I'm kind of just used to it, I think. I don't really want to move over to Samsung. Like, I know how to use it, but it's got some cool features like when we were in America again, Aiden used Spotify on alarms and stuff. I think that's a good integration. Whereas Apple, you can't do that. But I like that Apple's got stuff like, I don't know, even Apple Pay, which is more commonly used than Google Pay everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
And like even like on the underground services in London, you can use Apple Pay, and I don't know, it costs £5 for the entire underground for the whole day.
I'm not too sure if Apple Pay is used more if Samsung Pay. I don't know. I've got no stats on that, but it's definitely one that's more wider known, I would say. But that's coming from me as an Apple user right now, so I'm very heavily biased. So don't just ignore me with that.
I mean, we both do watch like the Samsung and Apple things.
Oh god,
like, we both watch them whenever they're on.
I'm always in the middle. I always want to know what's going on both sides. Because,
it's good to know what's happening.
Yeah, but I think the problem that we've got now, like one thing I just want to add based on what we just said, Apple for me has, well, I mean, this is from an upgrade from a Galaxy S4, so things have most likely changed. I see it definitely as more user responsive, whereas Samsung definitely was more powerful, but it sometimes prioritized background tasks over user responses. But I think now that we've got more powerful hardware, that could have changed. But moving on to what I was going to say was, I'm worried about all of these companies locking you into their brand. Obviously, when you get Apple AirPods, that's fine. You can use it across the board, but it's more easily compatible, more easy to set up with an iPhone. When you get Samsung Galaxy Buds, which I really love the design of, by the way, you can use it across the board. You can use it with an iPhone, but it's more easy to set it up with a Samsung product. And the latest thing, which was announced by Apple, was the Apple Card, and I'd say that is something which will. I mean, imagine that. That would be awful. Bloody hell, you get titanium card or whatever it is, and then
my favourite.
It's a metal one. I can't remember what it is.
Good flavour.
But it's definitely putting the garden walls even higher, as in you're more locked in to use an Apple. If you were to move from Apple to Samsung, it's going to be a lot harder because not only do you need to give up your device and your accounts and maybe purchases, but you also need to give up your credit card. And that is a massive thing to give up, especially if you rely on it on a daily basis. I don't know if like interest and all of that is good, but I know that they've got a reward scheme, whereas like I think it's if you spend money in Apple, you get 3% cash back instantly. If you spend money elsewhere, general shopping, you get 2% cash back, something like that. I'm not sure on the figures, but it's around that region. You get the cash back instantly for use the next day. But it's definitely, I'd say that's locking you in a hell of a lot more, and it's making the switch a hell of a lot harder, which if you're roped in and you're into that system, then you are going to stick with that brand most likely until you're happy to make the switch from that credit card. Well, you never know. There are die-hard Apple fans, but from being roped into that system. Grater? Sorry?
The new PC or whatever they've made, it's the cheese grater basically, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my god, it looks...
And the stand is grand.
They're really, really focusing on the higher end consumer. And if they can rope the higher end consumer in and keep them in place, they will, and they have, then it's going to make it so much harder to switch at the end of the day. And they're just going to keep putting the prices up and up and up, and the higher end consumer is going to spend more and more and more. That is going to be so hard for someone new to get into that market, which I guess is okay, but it's just making the competition even more fierce. it's going to make it so much more difficult to get into that market. I've got no clue what I'm talking about, by the way. So if you're viewing and you're like, this guy's talking bullshit, I know, I probably am, but this is just from my perspective.
You're just going off what you know, though, aren't you? Not like...
Just from a third-party perspective, not me being into it, and, you know... But I just like to stay in the middle of things. I don't like to be roped into these things, which is why I'm like finding it really difficult to choose my next phone. I don't like being roped into a service or a system without the ability to easily switch should I want to leave. I don't mind it in terms of, let's just say with Apple, I've had my phone for 3 years. Sure, I know it's going to be a few years, but I want to make sure at the end of it, if I am going to move, then I'm not going to lose out on too much. Like, you can get your Apple purchases, you can export the audio, and then you can put it on your next phone. No problem, I'm happy with that. But I don't know if an Apple Watch works with a Samsung phone or an Android phone. Well, there we go. So I feel like I'd be stuck if I were to buy a watch. Not saying I won't buy a watch if I get my next phone, because I'm kind of looking at that, but it would just make it that much more difficult if I were to then leave later on. So all of these accessories and stuff do make it a hell of a lot harder for consumers to switch.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense from a business perspective, but from a consumer perspective, it's kind of like, balls, I'm not happy with where I am, but it's a lot to give up, especially as you spend a hell of a lot of money on it.
Yeah, of course. I was going to add, like, with Apple, it's completely off the topic of phones, but people give their, like, MacBooks and whatever a lot of shit.
Right.
Because it's like, it's so expensive, it's not good compared to a PC. But like, it's not made as a PC, it's made as like its own thing to work as similar to a PC, but it's like their own thing. And I think the one thing that really gets me, I do want a MacBook Pro, which is like the one with a touch bar and whatever else. I think that's quite handy. I've used it in like airports and stuff because I've had so much time in airports before, you know. But I think I mainly want a MacBook because of I think it's Logic Pro, which is like the music software or whatever, and it's only exclusive to Apple. And basically it's got everything you need instrument wise, like effects and whatever else. And obviously I do a lot of music. I don't really have anything to record on properly here at the moment. But if I had that, I could record straight into that, change any effects that I wanted to, whatever else. I could use the keyboard for MIDI effects if I wanted to as well. And I feel like that's like a real big benefit of like having a MacBook.
Yeah.
But the price puts you off and whatever else if you want to do it on a finance deal thing or whatever.
Well, and that's another reason why the price is so high, because it's an exclusive. You can't get it anywhere other than an Apple branded product. So not only is the price put up because it's an exclusive, but because of the brand as well, it's put up even more. So you're getting less for more. But you are paying for that exclusivity and the fact that you now own an Apple product and you get access to all of these things that you can't access elsewhere.
Yeah. To be fair, also with Apple, their Apple TV thing is pretty amazing.
I am impressed with their Apple TV service.
You used it before, yeah?
I've used it round I think my auntie has one. I've used it round her house just for putting on a movie, but I haven't properly used it. This was a few years back, man. I think a lot's changed since I've used it.
It has changed a lot. I mean, the last time I used it, I think I was at Mads' house, and that was probably about two to 2.5 years ago, probably now. And it was so good. Like, he had the voice thing on it and whatever else. We got onto Netflix straight away. We got onto, I think they had like a bunch of free movies and whatever else on there as well.
All right.
And like, it was like things that just come out in the cinemas and just like finished being in cinemas and stuff like that. So I think that was a pretty cool thing to have on there. That's about it, really. I'm on the Apple website and I got intrigued by everything.
I am impressed with like what every company does. Samsung has really blown me away sometimes. Apple's also really blown me away sometimes. I think the biggest difference for me is the cameras. Yeah, well, that's the massive thing for phones now. As we go into what they're calling the Instagram generation, the social generation, where taking pictures of pretty much everything now is necessary, and everyone wants like to look amazing and have all of these things which can spruce up their photos, their video taking experience. It's vital for just the average, let's say the average photographer to have these components. But
well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why would you go and spend like, I don't know, $1,000 on a camera when you can just use your phone?
What I'm concerned about, though, is when cameras have reached their peak, as in to the point where you may as well now get a DSLR, or phones have succeeded DSLRs.
Oh,
what's
yeah,
next?
definitely.
You can't I hate how a lot of companies are doing incremental upgrades now. So, this is a better processor. This is a better camera. The rest, well, jog on. We haven't added anything new. I hate incremental upgrades. What new things can come out after everything has been upgraded to the point where it's too excessive?
I mean, I don't know. I think your cameras can obviously go to... What do we see in 4K, don't we, humans?
I've got no clue.
See, it's something like that. It might be more than that. I don't know. I'm just if you're out there and you know, please let us know on Twitter.
We've got no clue what we're talking about half the time. So if you're a professional, tweet us at Stuck in a Podcast.
It's true. But like in cinemas, I think they run it at like 12K or something like that, maybe 16K or something.
Okay.
So if that's like the extent that it's at now, it can't go that much further because there's only so much detail you can get from a camera, especially at the moment.
Well, I mean, with cinemas
so much
and stuff,
detail
it makes
you can
sense.
see.
As in, the pictures are a hell of a lot bigger, so you've got a lot more detail to cover more space.
But like, you can buy a camera that you use in a cinema, for example.
Yeah.
And like, it's crazy. I think Red is the biggest camera company, isn't it? So
it's definitely well known for how high end their products are.
Very expensive, but you get what you pay for at the end of the day. But I think something like that's probably where like the camera market's going towards. I'm gonna guess with like phones and whatever else, and probably I don't know. I feel like DSLRs are kind of slacking back a little bit still. You don't really see too many 4K cameras, for example, like DSLR wise, too often. I guess you see them more on the more expensive ones, whereas like I think my camera films at 1080 60 FPS still.
It's definitely the average photographer most likely won't be using a DSLR. They'd be using their phone. Obviously, if you want to get properly into photography, then there's budget cameras and all of that. And then you've got your high-end ones. I know nothing about photography, so I'm not going to comment too much on this.
I did it in film in college, but
okay.
I think a lot of photographers, I know a lot of them despise using phones, but then you see them use their phones, and it's kind of like a bit of a against
You've
themselves,
definitely got more control over DSLRs, exposure, aperture, everything.
Yeah.
You've got way more control over that than
whereas now in the iPhone, we've got portrait mode where we can make everything behind us black.
It's all software based though. A lot more phones are definitely going to more software-based photo rendering rather than hardware-based. So I think that will always be the selling point for DSLRs. Hardware is definitely where it's at for them.
Yeah. That makes sense. But then, like, if you think about it as well, what's going to happen with planes?
Planes?
Yeah,
where did that come from?
Well, I was looking at our other subjects, which is travel.
Oh, okay.
You think about like planes and stuff, back, I don't know, 50 years ago, it probably took... No, go back like 10 years ago. I think it took like a whole day to get to Australia. Now it takes 12 hours on like a direct flight at maximum. I think it's like 10 hours or something like that on a direct flight.
Oh, I don't think it's 10, but it's definitely a lot less than what it was.
It's about 10 to 12, I'm pretty sure.
Because of technology advancing and more efficient fuel burning, I guess.
I'm pretty sure, I can't remember what airline it was, but one airline said that they're making a thing where you can get from the UK to Australia in 4 hours.
Oh, I'd like to see that happen.
It's going to get to a point where
you're going to go into
like
space at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be cool, but it's going to be expensive, and do you know what? I don't know how to
Still cheaper than a train, though.
I'd like... UK trains, don't get me started on the bloody price of them. It's ridiculous to get from Bristol to Birmingham New Street through to Birmingham International without a rail card. It's like 58 quid. You go to the Netherlands, it's like €10 to go up and down the country. Oh my god, the UK rail system is ridiculous.
It's awful. Do you know what? I think from Birmingham to Manchester, think about it that way, yeah. That's about an hour and a half drive or something like that, maximum.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
It's about a £40 train journey.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is...
Daylight robbery, that's what it is. Daylight robbery.
So travel is something that we do quite often, I think. You do it with your work to another country.
What an intro! That's kind of like, you know when you go into school and you're due to give a presentation and you don't really know how to start off. It's like I started off the podcast yesterday. Travel is a thing that people do on a regular basis. It's very, very good. We've done a lot of it lately.
It's true, isn't it?
No,
we do travel a lot, to be fair.
I travel to work. We've just travelled to Insomnia and back. We even went to Orlando in June.
Which was amazing.
Oh my god, I love travelling. I really, really love travelling. Orlando was definitely a first time for a lot of things. Like, for example, first time in America for me. I think it was for you as well.
It was, yeah, it was.
First time going on holiday with friends. First time leading and organising the holiday. First time fully paying. Well, I mean, I've paid for myself when I'm going on holiday with family, but like first time arranging finances, sure, we'll go with that. And it was just incredible. I really loved it. I miss being over there. I hear the American accent now. I was watching a video earlier on today, or yesterday, I can't remember, where it was a video to do with like the rise and fall of Disney's own airline. It was I think it was in most people's recommended. It was one of those videos.
Yeah.
And then from that, they said, oh, this was sponsored by this company at one point, and then you can actually hear it in the background music for the songs that are played now. I was like, oh, what, really? So then I had a look at that soundtrack. It's in the Tomorrowland area. Apparently there's something like If You Have Wings. That was the old ride or something like that. Apparently there's a futuristic version in the Tomorrowland area of Disney World in Orlando. And I went back to listen to it, and just listening to it gave me so many positive vibes and feelings of I just want to go back. I really loved it. I miss the country so much. Being surrounded by the American accent, sure, the cost of everything was sky high. And
if there's any Americans out there, hello.
Hello, I love your country.
I love you.
Oh. He wants to get married to you so he can get
hello, future wife from last episode.
Oh my god. You're American now. I mean, the prices were quite extortionate for some things. Oh my god, I think it was like, what, $4 for a Coke in Disney?
Yeah, but to be fair, what you got was, I don't know, in like, especially inside and stuff, the watered down ones, they're not that watered down, to be fair, but you do get massive
loads.
Like that, if you got that here, that would cost you about 20 quid.
That trip confirmed the stereotype of a large in the UK is a medium in the States, and a large in the States is bloody gargantuan. I
could live with that food every day. I'm going to be honest.
I could live with the drink sizes, but I'm not sure about the food portions. We went to Wendy's.
We got through most of the food.
Oh yeah, we got through pretty much everything. We went to Wendy's on one of the nights, and we ordered a medium meal for, well, I think all of us ordered medium meals.
I think you ordered a medium meal. I got a large.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, I ordered a medium meal, and it came back as what would be considered a large in the UK, and I was like, wow. And it was really cheap. Don't get me wrong, it was really cheap there. It's only tourist destinations where it was really expensive. But for the price that I paid for it, I was really impressed with what we got.
I was impressed as well.
It was nice. I love Wendy's. I'm glad we tried some new places in America. Like Wendy's was one of them. We went to Panda Express as well.
That was interesting.
I loved Panda Express so much. One of the nights.
I think Wendy's was my favourite. Like,
Wendy's was good. I think Panda Express is my favourite. On one of the nights, we'd ordered Panda Express in the past, and we were like, oh, what should we order now? Because we liked eating in the hotel on some nights because it was generally cheaper than eating in the restaurants in the parks. On one of the nights, we ordered Panda Express again, but the one that we ordered from originally was closed, or it was overwhelmed or something.
It was closed, okay? It was closed.
But Kai didn't realise that, so when he went to click on the store, he was actually ordering from one 20 miles away. So our Uber Eats driver literally drove 20 miles to deliver us a Panda Express.
He had a nice trip, though, I'm sure.
20 miles! Or 20 kilometres, one of them.
That's about a 20-minute drive.
It's a long way for a Panda Express.
Hey, he got a nice tip.
He did get a nice tip. From what I heard, he was friendly as well.
We tipped him more than we did for the others.
I felt really bad for him, but from what I heard,
food.
he was really nice.
Yeah, I didn't go down. I think you went down.
I think I was there for it, and I just came out as because I popped to the loo down in the lobby. I just came out as the guy arrived, so yeah, he was nice.
I was having a shower for anyone that was interested.
Just in case you want to get all up close and personal with Kai.
Hello, American wife.
Just to end off, dream holiday destinations. Where would you want to go next?
Oh, you know what? I want to go everywhere, It's really annoying. I hate wanting to go places because I just want to go everywhere. Right now, my biggest place that I want to go is obviously I want to go to LA. I think that's one that
I
both
really
of us
want to go
massively.
LA.
But then I also want to go to New York in America.
Oh my god,
So I think that's
New
a
York
great
would be
one to go
amazing. It's just so expensive.
Exactly.
If you compare...
But then I also want to go to the other side of the world, and I want to go to, like, Tokyo is, like, a big one for me.
Yeah.
And as well as that, I think Australia is a big one for me.
Just
South
as
Korea
a disclaimer, we had a slight discussion about this before the stream, and I think I mentioned LA and Australia, and they both came up, so I've got no other ones to mention. I think they're my main two. Do
you not want to go to, like, Tokyo or somewhere like that?
I mean, Tokyo would be good, but it's not high up on my list.
That's fair.
I think
it's because I watched a lot of, like, Japanese stuff and whatever else.
Oh yeah, for me, I don't watch a lot of it, but it would be nice to go there at some point. It's just not high up. For me, I think it's like LA, New York. There's obviously Australia as well. We've already mentioned these ones. A couple of other ones that we haven't yet mentioned. I want to go to Iceland. That would be amazing. I'd like to go. I think Norway's the best place to see the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I guess it depends where you live.
Maybe Iceland as well, but I want to go see the Northern Lights in general. Another place I also want to go to, just because it's just I've had a friend that's been there like a couple of times now.
Let me guess.
Go on. I've had a friend that's been there a couple of times
Doncaster.
now. Yeah, totally. I've had a friend who's been there a couple of times now, and it's the Maldives. Like, it looks so nice to be on one of those islands.
Oh, you know what? Hawaii
would be amazing. It really is like the other side of the world.
I got a good answer for this whole thing. Everywhere.
Right. Nice one, Kai.
That is true, though. I'd love to go everywhere.
I'd love to see as much as I could anyway. As much as I can. I use this website called Flight Radar 24, but there's like a personal diary side to it. And you can put in your flights that you've been on over time, and it automatically maps it out on a map, like all these lines that you've flown around, and tells you, oh, you've flown at 20,000 kilometers around the world. You've been around the world 2.5 times or whatever. Obviously that's not mathematically correct, but I want to get that map completely filled up with lines and routes that I've flown on all these destinations and pins. It's kind of like one of those destination map things that you can scratch off on your wall, except it's online. I want to fill that up. That's my goal.
That sounds like a good goal.
See as much of the world as I possibly can.
I think it's like prime time to do it as well, because it seems like the world's only getting more and more screwed up every day. Especially like you got leaders and whatever else that are idiots.
The only problem for me is time and friends.
Yeah. Time, sometimes money.
I could probably make time. Oh yeah, money as well. Money, you want to save up for it, of course, and make sure you got a budget for it.
You want to make it the best experience, don't you?
But I think even when I do have the money, it's getting people to want to get involved with it as well, because it's a financial commitment on their behalf as well. So it's difficult to get people in with you and spending that amount of money.
Of course.
And I think we'll end it on that note. So we've gone up to 40 minutes now.
Perfect.
We're doing good at this. If you guys,
doing good.
Yeah, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, by the way, be sure to let us know via a tweet on our Twitter page at @StuckInAPodcast. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think I did. I'm not too sure. I had to think about that one. It's alright, I guess.
We spoke about phones and stuff, which was good.
Technology and travel.
Yeah, I think that's quite a good mix, isn't it?
Yeah. If you guys have any topics that you want us to talk about on these episodes, by the way, feel free to just tweet it to us at @StuckInAPodcast or directly to us at ifexhd and at Kai Ross-Best. We'll take all topics into account. Like, we're definitely not bare on topic ideas right now. We've got loads of things to talk about, and we've got life stories to talk about as well. So that could go on forever. But if there's anything you want to see us talk about, maybe like an upcoming trending topic or something, just let us know, and we'll stick it in an episode or something.
Creeper.
Oh man. I mean, that's kind of a
talk about that. Let us know. It's probably dead by this point when this is coming out. So
we're not gonna talk about it.
That's it. Thanks everyone for listening. Like we said, check us out on Twitter. You got the names in the previous part that we just said about, because I can't bother to repeat them.
Yeah, boy.
If you're enjoying, I don't know if Spotify has like a rating system. Just say good.
Just follow us. Follow us for your updates on the next podcast.
It should be next Wednesday, the next one. So hopefully
we're doing
all
right
then.
so far. We've had 2 Wednesdays on the trot. Let's see if we can make it 3 Wednesdays on the trot.
Then maybe we'll make it a month of Wednesdays.
Thanks everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday on
Bye,
Goodbye, bitch.